Lab-grown meat is chock full of antibiotics, cancer cells, and a bunch of other terrible things they don't want you to know about. But why would they tell the truth when there's billions of dollars flowing into this arena?
President Biden signed an executive order this year requiring federal agencies to support cultivating alternative food sources.
And when there's billions upon billions more to be made.
You can eat in here.
Yes.
But I don't see any animals and I don't see any animal parts.
Well, that's the trick, right?
These are the tissue production cultivators. We invented this sort of technology in order to grow tissue.
Is it safe?
Absolutely.
To make a delectable lab-grown meat nugget, you'll need a few very special ingredients. Number 1, growth factors. Things like sugar, amino acids, vitamins, and trace elements to give the meat everything it needs to grow. And you'll, of course, extract these factors from the cheapest food imaginable, soy.
And so they're going to need things like soybean hydrolysate to provide amino acids. And where do we get soybean hydrolysate from? Well, you get it from soybeans. And how do you get soybeans? Well, you plant these giant monocrops. And what happens when you plant giant monocrops? Well, you decimate the whole ecosystem.
But the problem with soy is that it has more estrogen than any other bean in existence. No, seriously, 1 cup of soybeans has the equivalent amount of estrogen as 20,000 cups of chickpeas. If you don't know, estrogen is to females what testosterone is to males. Estrogen is what makes women, women. But when estrogen levels become too high, especially in males, it can lead to a whole lot of problems like infertility, low testosterone, slow growth, shrinking muscle mass, and weight gain. So yep, let's shove it into our lab-grown meat. And once your delicious soy plasma is complete, you'll need to add in your animal cells. Because remember, the goal here is to grow edible meat from just a few animal cells. But you can't just use any old regular cells from a chicken or a cow or whatever. That's because regular cells from a piece of animal meat, for example, just simply don't grow fast enough. Regular animal cells only multiply a few dozen times. So yeah, you're never gonna get your lab-grown meat factory going with cells like that. You need a type of cell that will grow to infinity super fast. And you want to know what cells multiply super fast? Cancer cells. Think about it. Tumors grow fast and get out of control, which is why cancer is so scary. But that also makes cancer cells the perfect catalyst for lab-grown meat. But obviously you're not going to call them cancer cells because branding. Hello? Cancer has a bad ring to it. If people knew that the reason you can grow monstrous masses of meat so quickly was because you were using cancer cells, they would chuck their lab-grown meat right into the toilet. So you call them immortalized cells instead. These cells are immortal because they multiply infinitely, like a tumor. And immortalized cells sounds much better.
Pay close attention to what you are about to see. These rats have been fed with transgenic corn during their entire life cycle. The tumors they suffer from are enormous. The study that revealed the effect of the GMOs on the health of these rats has just been completed. It lasted for 2 years.
We spent over a year trying to obtain transgenic corn because no GMO manufacturers were willing to provide them. This is because Monsanto requires contracts to be signed stipulating that the seeds must not be used for testing. We wanted our study to be independent.
Every rat was dissected to identify the way each diet, GMO and Roundup on its own, had acted on the metabolism of each animal, focusing on the development rate of the tumors that only start to manifest themselves after the initial 3-month period.
Each step up represents a large tumor, which can measure 17 millimeters by 17 millimeters. 94% of them take effect in the mammary glands, which would equate to breast cancer in a woman. We are faced with renal tumors for the males. Some males also suffer from mammary tumors.
One could have thought that the main cause of death was coming from the pesticide added to the corn. But what the study highlighted, and this for the first time ever, is the fact that the transgenesis itself could have killed the rats. What this means is that just by interfering with the genome of the plant in order to modify it, we are faced with repercussions that no one could have anticipated. This is enough to make us reconsider all the scientific precepts that led to the creation of GMOs.
We realized that GMOs without any Roundup residue were responsible for an increase in the death rate of females and of some males. This is the GMO that is being eaten by the Americans, but also the GMO that has been approved for importation by European agencies, and that contaminates our food.
This Hox Kiba Alagora Sibakora Mantia is going to receive opposition like never before. Manteke Baraguske Prahondegles. opposition from the heavenlies, opposition from the earth. It will receive opposition like they never thought possible. Mengila brakdosa pari.
And indeed, more and more people are speaking up against this evil agenda.
2 million people in 436 cities in 52 countries. Their protest 100% focused on genetically modified organisms, or GMOs.
Say no to GMO. Hundreds of people in Toronto joined an international chorus of voices today against the production of genetically modified crops and the company that produces them.
And we, the saints around the world, will continue to pray, and we won't stop until the will of God is established upon the earth. For the earth is the Lord's and his fullness thereof,